Hi, I'm Seth Wagner, and welcome to a very special Halloween edition of Tiger TV. Halloween is such a great holiday. There's dressing up, trick-or-treating, carving pumpkins, and my personal favorite, haunted attractions. Now let's go to Logan with some more information on Field of Screams.
This year marked the 25th anniversary of Field of Screams. We met with an employee to see how he had got his job.
Well, actually, I'm a local radio DJ. I work for Fun 101.3 in Mount Joy. So we're a big part here of Field of Screams and Corn Cob Acres. So they contacted us about it, and I guess I was the perfect fit for the job, so I was the guy that they picked.
There are 4 major attractions, including the famous Hayride, in addition to various carnival games and a live performance. The Scream Pass costs $34 for all 4 attractions, with a VIP upgrade for $20 more to skip the lines. USA Today ranks Field of Screams the #1 haunted attraction in America. We had asked the co-owner how it felt.
To be rated #1 is really rewarding. We pour our lives into Field of Screams. It's our passion. It's what we work on year-round. So to be recognized as the best haunted attraction in the world by USA Today was a sense of accomplishment from all our hard work. So we felt real good about that.
We also asked about how many visits Field of Screams receives each year.
We get tens of thousands of people, so anywhere from 50 to 100,000 people will attend in a given year, depending on the weather.
We had also asked about how often the attractions are changed up. He mentioned how the entire off-season is dedicated to renovations and improvements.
Field of Screams is set up permanently, so we're able to just go in and make changes, renovations, tear out certain scenes, add new scenes. So we change it constantly. As much as we can do in a year, as hard as we can work, we change as many things as possible.
Field of Screams ends on November 11th with the Zombie Fun Run, where some of the proceeds will benefit the PA Breast Cancer Coalition. Reporting for Tiger TV, I'm Logan Confer.
Thanks, Logan. Every year, Fleetwood holds an annual blood drive in honor of a different person every time. Here's Amanda with more on the past blood drive.
The Miller Keystone Blood Center visited Fleetwood Area High School on October 19th to collect blood in honor of Allison Stern, who passed away suddenly earlier this year. Students weren't the only people donating blood. Teachers also got involved for a great cause. We caught up with senior Julia Donahoe and asked if students should be afraid to donate blood.
And no one has ever, had any serious complications from blood donating, and it's just like a minor thing.
Once the blood is donated, they ship it to their test center where the blood is then tested. And once separated, it is distributed to hospitals in over 5 counties. If you missed this blood drive, you can always sign up for the next one sometime this spring.
I say give it a try. If you think to yourself that you are doing a wonderful thing for students and for people that need blood, I think that just gives you an extra boost to try to donate. And once you've donated, it's kind of addictive. You want to do it again and again.
Be a superhero, donate blood, and save a life. Reporting from Tiger TV, I'm Amanda Beidler. Back to you, Seth.
Thanks, Amanda. Now it's time for this week's Random Ramblings.
The Fellowship of the Ring, the Lord of the Rings. Well, as anyone who knows me knows, I am a big fan of the Lord of the Rings. And the Fellowship of the Ring is probably my second favorite of the Lord of the Rings books. Specifically because it's great. I love the fact that it doesn't divide the action in half the way that the Two Towers does. But I have to tell you that I feel like Tolkien was probably grasping at some straws during a lot of the first half of Fellowship of the Ring. When the hobbits are leaving the Shire, there's just so much unnecessary stuff as far as I'm concerned. We don't need them going and hanging out at his cousin's house for a couple of days. We don't need to spend 18 years waiting to leave the Shire after we know that the ring has been discovered. We don't need to have the Tom Bombadil sequence is unnecessary as far as I'm concerned, just like Old Man Willow. All of those are things that I don't need. You cut those out, though, I think you could have the best book, but they're there, and so I deal with them and I live with them. But you've got lots of great immersion of different cultures in there, the Rivendell, Moria, you've got Lothlorien. and then you eventually come to Amon Hen and Amon Sul, all great locations that you visit in that book and no other. So it's a strong book, it's a strong narrative. That's why I give it my second favorite of the Lord of the Rings books.
Thanks, Mr. Haupt. Random Ramblings will be back again next episode. Now to Mr. Dreisbach on some help with this week's Fantasy Football 2-minute drill.
This is Mr. Dreisbach with your Week 9 2-minute drill. This week here, now that we're basically halfway through the season, your main starter should be pretty obvious. Your Le'Veon Bell, your Kareem Hunt, etc. Those guys you should be starting every week no matter what. Now, in terms of some other starts and some other sits, this is the week where I think you should have realized if you have Carson Wentz or Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, they should be starting every single week. They are two of the top fantasy quarterbacks right now in overall points, touchdowns, low interceptions, etc. Leonard Fournette, if healthy, because he's coming off that injury, he's another guy who should be started every single week. In terms of sit-ums, until things get figured out in Green Bay, this is where you got to start sitting a lot of the guys of the Green Bay Packers offense. Because individually, they're not getting much done, and that team offensively has really gone downhill since Aaron Rodgers has gotten hurt. C.J. Anderson, in Week 9, the Denver Broncos are playing the Philadelphia Eagles' #1 ranked rush defense. This is a week where if you have C.J. Anderson and you have a better backup, this is the week where you bench him. Also, Terrell Pryor, he was brought into Washington to be the #1 wide receiver, but he's not putting up #1 wide receiver numbers. This is a week where if you have a better option, you sit him. In terms of buying and selling, as we're approaching the trade deadline in a lot of your fantasy leagues, if you can buy Amari Cooper low, this is when you buy him. He's kind of stunk it up most of the season, but he had a breakout game last week. So if you have a guy who's willing to deal him, even though he had one good week, he's a guy I think you buy because I think he's going to pick up towards the end of the year. Also, Sterling Shepard. With all the injuries to the wide receivers in New York, Sterling Shepard now jumps into the #1 role. So if you can buy him, buy him. In terms of sells, unfortunately, Larry Fitzgerald, he's been my man for years, but with Carson Palmer going down, if things stay true as they did a few seasons ago when Carson got hurt, this is the time when you try to get rid of Larry Fitzgerald while his numbers are up. Also, Terrell Pryor, if you can get rid of him also, to somebody who thinks he's a legit wide receiver, this is when you get rid of him. That's it for the Week 9 2-minute drill wrap-up. Happy Halloween. Back to you, Seth.
Thanks, Mr. Dreisbach. Road work in Fleetwood has been an everyday inconvenience affecting the daily commute for many locals. Here's Dylan with more information.
From June 7th to September 22nd, the roadwork from the intersection of Richmond and West Main Street to the bridge on West Main Street has affected all of the local businesses in Fleetwood, such as Fury's, Turkey Hill, Homer's, and others. This was Phase 3 of a 5-phase construction project in Fleetwood. Commuters, such as workers coming home from DECA, have to take the detour, which causes a traffic backup at the high school. We caught up with Francesco Fury to ask how traffic has affected his father's business.
The road being blocked off into town created a huge jam on the back road, which made transportation to get to the restaurant more difficult.
14,336 vehicles used Main Street daily, according to PennDOT, and took the detour through Fleetwood and were forced to go past Willow Creek Elementary, causing traffic conflicts within the school district. On September 22nd, the intersection of Richmond and West Main Street opened. Phase 4 of construction began on September 20th and will continue through the late months of this year and is scheduled to end in late November. After Phase 4 is completed, a year-long construction project will begin, Phase 5. Phase 5 will take place on Main Street from Franklin Street to Dryville Road. After all is said and done, Fleetwood looks to be a much improved town with this large project and is hopeful for a bright future. Reporting for Tiger TV News, this is Dylan Leonard.
Thanks, Dylan. That does it for the Halloween edition of Tiger TV News. Happy Halloween, and until next time, I'm Seth Wagner.